we go. Oops. Let's get that out of there. There we go. Bam. 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 Oh, yeah, you broke something. Let's see if this works. All right, I hear you. I hear you. Oops. Whatever. Huh. That's broken. Stop. Stop. Bam, 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 bam. Auto find and activate. Oh, that did work. Oh, okay, cool. Hold on, is it there? Oh, it does work. Oh, cool. All right, bam. I think it works now. Hey, hey. That work? I think. Hey, we got goals. Oh, that's broken. I think it works. All right, let's see. Let's see. Oh, that work. That works. Oh, 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 oh. Okay. All right. Let's see. That work. Yes, sir. All right. Okay. Looks like maybe they finally fixed something. Money, money, money. Ow, 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 ow. Okay, no, I should do. And what up, Sack? Hold on one second, brother. Share Discord. Where's YouTube at? There it is. YouTube, Twitch, send. All right. What up? What up? You want to go over whatever you wanted to go over before? Bam. Pause. 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 No. Off. 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 There we go. All right. What up? Okay. There we go. All right. We working. We working. Okay. Where am I? Broken. Broken. Let's see if that works. That works. That's so small. That's too big. I think it is working. I think YouTube's back to working. All right. If your chat's not popping up, that's probably why. I don't know if you're responding or not. But we'll see. If YouTube chat's still broken, we'll see. I don't see anybody else's stuff in there. What's going on? Oops, that's me. Okay. All right. Let's see. We'll see. Um, Bam. Um, you found all right. What you got? The most dangerous motorcycle helmet in history. Statistics and probability. Yeah. What would you like to know? Oh, for what you're doing, you mean? Yep, yep. That's everybody should learn that stuff. Freaking elementary school, and they don't teach it. They definitely should. So I think that's why so many people believe what's on the news and stuff because they don't learn how to read statistics. Yeah, yeah. It lets you know that's so statistics goes back to what I talked about with efficiency. When you learn how to use statistics and probability, you learn where you should be putting your resources towards. What's the probability that my time and money investments will help? Yeah, absolutely, I agree. Do you sniff so much, bro? You riding the wave? No, I'm absolutely not. I broke my nose about freaking 12 times. Every time I watch this stuff all the time. No, no. Sorry, Jeremy. Sorry. I used to a lot all the time, but no, not in years. 10 years probably. Blinding, building, blinding. Buddy, I don't know what you mean. Blood and blood. Okay, let's see. Where are we at with silver today? Silver's at almost $90. Nice. We doing it. Political opinion? After yesterday, I'm no longer a Democrat. Let's see. Let's see. I spent 15 years in the movie industry, surrounded by the frickin' by the liberal nuts, and so I was a moderate. And then after yesterday, when the Democrats finally said no, we don't care at all about the American people, I was like, okay, I don't care about you then. Apparently, you're not even the Democrat Party of 20 years ago. You've been hijacked by some mafia or freaking cartel. So done. No. It's vitamin B12. They're red tablets that dissolve under your tongue. Are you bleeding? That's the term you were looking for. Bleeding. Yeah, no, the little red tablets that dissolve under your tongue, and then you can. No, now it's all dissolved already. But yeah, no. That's how. This is how. This is. Yeah, vitamin B12. Yeah. Sublingual. Attention, ADHD, blood issues. Listen, if you've got ADHD and you've never been tested for vitamin B12 deficiency, you probably have a vitamin B12 deficiency. Even if you have ADHD, it causes people to not absorb vitamin B12. So it makes ADHD symptoms work. Watch, I'll show you. B12 deficiency and ADHD. Okay, all right. Children and adults with ADHD often exhibit significantly lower vitamin B serum B12, it means in the blood, compared to neurotypical peers, with deficiencies linked to increased inattention and hyperactivity, lower B12, higher cysteine, lower iron, which can aggravate behavioral and cognitive. So if you've got ADHD, if you've got concentration problems, if you've got brain fog, you probably have low B12. And even if you think you're taking enough B12 from like milk and stuff, your body might not be absorbing it. Oregano oil. Yep, great stuff. Oregano. I use oregano oil and rosemary oil and coconut oil. What up, Timothy? I swear you talk about everything and anything. Absolutely, it's what I do. What up, mama? Brother, it's worth it. It'll help straighten your head out. Like when you get angry and stuff. Vitamin B12 is a direct cause for severe agitation, mood swings, and outbursts of anger. If you get mad at what you're doing, like I can't figure this out, you shouldn't ever be like that. You should be like, I can't figure this out. You know what I mean? Yeah, and people don't understand it. They think I must have a mental disorder. Or you might just have a vitamin deficiency. But I went to the doctor. Did they test you for vitamin deficiencies? No, they put me on freaking Adderall. Well, that's your problem, you know? By the way, did you know there's a new organ found in the human body? before GTA 6. Let's see. Which one are you talking about? The intranasal, no, the second nose, the nose that goes directly to your heart. Jeremy, you might find this interesting if you're a man on the powder. What's this? What song is this? If you want my future, forget my past. If you want my future, you gotta forget my past. Better make it fast. Rip together. Gonna be just fine. If you wanna be my lover, you gotta get with my friends. The Spice Girls. If you wanna be my lover, the Nabber. I forgot the name. Do you know the Muffin Man? Look it up. It's the Nabber. Oh, the Nabber. Oh, that's the. You guys are talking about the same thing. Hold on. What are we talking about? What are you talking about, Kahora? What did I miss? You're talking about the organ? I think chat is working. Yeah, it's back. It's back. Yeah. I know. That's why I turned off the chat overlay. The Nabber? What are you talking about, the Nabber? It looks like, is that a product? Somebody told me. Hogan. Oh, Holy Hogan's Ghost. Somebody told me on the somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. Look up Black Phone. I don't know. We're trying to figure it out. Black Phone. The Nabber. Nabber. The Grabber? Black Phone. You talking about the movie? What are you talking about? Okay, hold on. The Interstitium. Yeah, the Interstitium. I've heard of that. Is it new? A newly recognized network of fluid-filled collagen supported places beneath the skin and surrounding organs, acting as a dynamic shock absorber and a source of lymph. The network facilitates fluid transport. Discovery date. Yeah, 2018. Yeah. So relatively new. Yeah. Yeah, they say this is one of the things they tried to think. This is why we are like mushrooms, because mushrooms have a mycelium, which is basically here. Mushroom mycelium. Mushroom. There you go. Here, and so this is basically what you're talking about. The freaking their interstitium. It's like the mycelium. It ends with the also, but it runs through dirt and stuff like this, just like the lymph nodes that or the lymph that runs through our body to circulate stuff through. It's absolutely amazing. I don't know what the Nabber is. Do you recall the difference of pissant? Yeah. It's you. I think Snooker's ghost might be worse than Hogan's ghost. Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. Abracadabra, Holmes. A lazy man prays for things he's not willing to sweat for. Problem is, God hears your prayers, blesses your hands. That's exactly right. That's exactly right, my brother Jeremy. Some people work for fun girls. I just work for you. Some people work for fun, girl. I just work for you. It's a new 2018, so 10 years old, yeah. Lazy man prays for things he's not willing to sweat for. Problem is, God hears your prayers, blesses your hands. Absolutely. Kahora, what are we talking about? Are you talking about the movie Black Phone? Yeah. So, where are we at? Okay, the movie. All right, I thought you were talking about the freaking new organ. What am I looking for? Black Phone. There you go. I've never heard of this. Black Phone. And everybody have Black Phone 2. 22. Oh, Ethan Hawke. Huh. I've never even heard of it. Was it done in Atlanta? Let me say Black Phone Atlanta. I wonder if it was being worked on under a different name. Oh, it was not. It wasn't filmed in Atlanta, so I didn't work on it. Ratherly in Wilmington, North Carolina. Yeah, okay. Look at some of the movie clips. Looks like me. Okay. You talking about this guy? This big ass nose looks like me. Where am I at? All right. Oops. Richard, I'm scared of the vitamin using. Why? Your body needs it. You're scared of it? Brother, do you know B12 is one of the most important vitamins in your body? Like you need it. And the problem is you're supposed to get it from your food, but vegetarians and it only in meat and mushrooms, some dairy. And if you don't eat enough meat, especially beef, you're not getting enough B12. Why do you think people around the world are different besides skin color? It's their diets. Like why Indians are different than Muslims. Muslims don't eat beef but don't eat pork, and then Indians eat pork but don't eat beef because you're not absorbing the right stuff. You don't have the right. This is why people are different, because some people are deficient in certain vitamins and everything. This is why we're supposed to come together and share cuisine and culture. Yeah, you got vitamin B12, methylcobalamin. It's one of the most studied vitamins. Hold on one second. Methylcobalamin. If that heard it as Taco Bell menu, I'd be scared of that too. B12, methylcobalamin. Vitamin B12 is a highly bioavailable active coenzyme B12 used to treat deficiencies, support nerve health, boost energy, essential for DNA synthesis and neurological function, often taken sublingually to treat neuropathy, Alzheimer's, cognitive decline. Side effects are rare but include headache, nausea, and itching. It's very important. Patty Moore. Instead of leaving a better world for our children, let's leave better children. Agreed. Leave better children for our world. So the government tells them to get 2.4 micrograms. I take 200,000 times that amount. I take 5,000 micrograms, which is, it says is 208,000 times. Let me do this. Let me turn this on. Let me see if this works. I'll show you. Did I break it? I think I did break it. Yep, I definitely broke it. Huh, I wonder why that doesn't work. Yep, definitely broke it. Okay, never mind. Yeah, 200. It's hard to see. Let me see if I can show you this. 208,000. Oh, it's hard to see. I know. This freaking thing won't focus. Anyway, yeah, a lot. I take 5,000 micrograms. 5,000. And that's just one tablet. You shouldn't be scared. You should be scared of going to the doctor that's giving you wackadoodle shit. You know, most pharmaceuticals are made from oil. Lack of meat today is being pushed away from red meat. Yeah, no, that's one of the worst things you can do is not eat red meat. Leaving a better world for our children, leave a better world for the children of our world. Yep, absolutely. Whatever the body doesn't use gets pissed out. Right, yeah, right. Because I'm near a Taco Bell. Be sure to discuss oregano. So I talk about it all the time, Jeremy. I talk about oregano oil and like yesterday we talked about it for a good hour. Oregano oil and rosemary oil. Oregano oil is one of the strongest antibiotic, antiseptic, especially for people that are going bald. Oregano oil and rosemary oil for balding. Oregano. Yeah, I grow it. Here. Oregano oil are effective net remedies for hair loss. So here's the mechanisms. Oregano oil. Benefits for oregano oil. Acts as a powerful anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial agent. Yeah, and so you can use it. You can use it on a lot of things. It's also a great anti-parasitic. Always better to get a blood test. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I do 4 times a year. I don't go to my doctor. I go to a lab, a phlebotomist. They take the blood. They give me the results. I go over everything. If I see something wrong that's not urgent, that I can't change with diet, then I go to a doctor and I say, "What's up?" Yeah, it's definitely a powerhouse. That's correct. Yep, that's right. Carvacol. Carvacol. Around 20 years ago, I survived off of eating Jack in the Box and McDonald's. I was mad and bad acne, felt bad. Yep, that's exactly what your problem was. Favorite seed oil. I don't use hardly any seed oils at all. I'll use avocado oil. I'll use coconut oil is the oil I use primarily in my home. But for cooking, I use not lard. What's it called? Oh my God, I forgot the name of it. Tallow. Yes, tallow. I got a big 7-pound tub of it, like a paint bucket. Yeah, it's great. It's great stuff. We all know classical computers work in 2 states, electric charge on and off states via capacitor transistor, which flips ASCII Unicode, but I can't get my head around quantum computers. They don't work very well. Quantum computers don't work very well. They only work as booster agents for normal computers. So a qubit uses a qubit. So you have to compare 2 things together, 2 things that are in a different spin state of superposition. They're worthless. They require so much energy to do, and they're so error prone. Even the temperature changing a fraction of a degree throws it off. So even though it can do one thing a million times faster, you can't use it as a general purpose computer. You can only use it to boost some things. Then it takes 9 weeks to reset everything up for it to do a different function. They're just want people to invest in. The white coats are a bunch of yes men and women toting the company lines. Exactly right. I don't mess with flaxseed oil, but I have. I used to, but I don't mess with any of those things anymore. Yeah, oregano is definitely great. Helps toothaches. Oregano. Yep. That's right. Oregano oil is great for toothaches. So is clove. White coats. Yep. Coconut oil, tallow. That's what I use. Right. Extra virgin olive oil, bad. The problem is most of it's counterfeit. Most of the olive oil we get in America is not olive oil. It's been cut. And we've got footage since like 1990 of boats leaving Italy, big ass tankers full of olive oil leaving Italy, meeting up with other boats that are full of canola oil and pumping and trading. So look. Fake olive oils being sold in America. Adulterated olive oil is most recent studies. Let's see. I don't know what this guy's got to say.
I'm going to show you how to buy real olive oil at all of your favorite stores. And knowing that 80%
no, real olive oil is the best. Real olive oil.
Find real deal EVOO. At Walmart, you have lots of great options.
Yes, I remember, Albert. Yes.
EVOO from Tunisia.
Yeah, it is, right.
You can trace this one, which is cool. And it's 44 cents an ounce. Multiple options.
Same with I know honey's great too, right? It's right. Most honeys that you get, if you don't get like local, they're cut with they're honey flavored corn what's it called? High fructose corn syrup. Real McCoy. Cow ghee. Yeah. Cow ghee's underrated. I like ghee. I like straight ghee. Depends what I'm cutting for. I've got some here now. First pressing or nothing. All right, let me see. There you go.
Guys, Nona just told me how to tell if your olive oil is real or fake.
Yeah, it's really easy. Watch me. This one here is real. This one here, not so good. I'm gonna put a little shot in each cup. Even before the test, you could see how different the color is.
Yeah, wow. So what's the test?
Wow, we're gonna put this in the refrigerator for a few hours and then we're gonna see. Wow. All right, it's time to check.
Wow, this one's really cloudy.
Yeah, you see real. How thick it is? This is from the fats, really olive oil.
The fat, right.
This one, not so much.
It's just canola oil and some freaking either a little bit of olive oil or olive oil flavoring. Everything's a scam. Chinese honey. Can you please search about ghee? I want to see it too if it's the best. Ghee's really good. Yeah, ghee's from natural butter is good. Health benefits of ghee. Ghee is a clarified butter rich in A, D, E, and K. Promotes digestive health, Boosts immunity, supports heart health by managing cholesterol when used moderately. Lactose and casein free, high in butyrate, high in smoking point for healthy cooking. Yeah, it's great shit. I've got it here. Olive oil should be clear. It depends on the fat content. Your olive oil might be clear. Is oil really required in our foods? Can't we use dry fryers? Oil? Yeah. Listen, fat is very good for you. Fake fats aren't. Actual fat is one of the best things you can put in your body. You know your brain uses cholesterol and fat? Like that's what your brain runs on. And we tell everybody, no, use sugar instead. And it's freaking nuts. Yeah, that's all chemistry. Richard, thank you. You caused something. I'm trying my best, brother. I'm here to help, my friend. I'm here to help. Before we use olive oil, but now shifted to ghee. Yeah. Listen, if you can get real olive oil, absolutely use it. But I remember this was like early 2010, 2011. 95% of the olive oils that you get in the grocery store, like Kroger's or whatever, were either adulterated or not real olive oil when sold as extra virgin, EVOO. Yogurt is fake. Most of them are full of sugar. Yeah, it's all everything's a scam, dude. Listen, when they turned that food pyramid upside down, the companies went ape shit. I only use butter. No sunflower spread. I don't use that either. Yeah, fat's great. Yeah, I use tallow. Absolutely. So biology is chemistry, and yes, absolutely. And they want to tell you that these things are replaceable. No, that motor oil is frickin' just as good as cow fat. No, it's absolutely not. Absolutely not. Tallow is one of the best things you can put in your body. One of the best things. And then what happened is Crisco replaced tallow. So the marketing and advertising that the world heard was, oh, it's good because it's made from vegetables. Vegetables that are sprayed with pesticides. And what did you do with the oil to make it thick? It's crazy. Hydrogenation and stuff. Richard, do me a favor. What's required to know about human to predict the future? It's act to do it. The first thing you need to do is get healthy so that you can study without an emotional interruption. And the thing that's helped me the most with that was getting my vitamins and nutrients straight. You do not understand how unhealthy most of the planet is. Canola oil. Do you know what canola oil stands for? You know what that is? It's Canada oil, low acid. So they can make, it's not, canola isn't a vegetable, isn't a seed. It stands for Canada oil, low acid. That's what the LA is of CANO, is Canada, and LA is low acid. Watch. What does canola stand for? Not Ola. Ola. Here. Canada oil, low acid. It's a marketing term from a Canadian plant breeders in 1970s to rebrand rapeseed oil, which was blah, 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 levers of bitter compounds. But the thing is, they don't only have to use rapeseed now, because it's not rapeseed. In America, if it's called rapeseed, it's got to be from rapeseed. But because it's called Canada oil, it can be whatever the canola company puts in it. It's crazy stuff. They used to use tallow to grease conduit. Yeah. Country crock. Yeah. That stuff's so crazy. Richard, you understand me? I meant, what do I need to do to know about someone, to know a person's future, how he's going to do afterwards, what direction to act? Is it... brother, I don't know. What to do to know how someone's future will act. So, the future is pretty easy for yourself. For other people, it's hard, because how people react to things, and how, let me turn this off real quick, and people's choices. If you could tell if people make bad decisions, you know how their future is going to go. I mean, that's pretty easy. But yeah, it's your own life is what you got to deal with. And other people, and you have to teach people the best ways to figure their own life out. And the best way is to always make sure people have a goal, because most people are just lost. Most people's goals are get a job and freaking be a boss, babe, and that's no goal, because that's someone else's goal, right? It's hard though, dude. It ain't easy. If you knew how to do that, you'd be a fortune teller, right? I use it as replacement for motor oil. I want to say I love watching your channel because I learn most things each time I watch. Unlike most channels on YouTube, just talking about fluff. Out in the chat. Thank you, Georgie. Free will. Yeah, free will. Right, exactly. People have their own will to do their own things. Very easy to tell, like, if people care about other people. Like watch people's actions, don't listen to their words. You know, that's a huge thing. How people treat animals, how people treat other people, even people they don't like. How one political party and another, like, if you have a friend that's a Democrat and doesn't like Republicans, or a Republican doesn't like Democrats just because they're Democrat, not because they're like, I hate them, you know, those people are bad people, that they don't make good decisions, and they don't see how to benefit in life, and how you can thrive in all situations. Same on the inside of our bodies. Yeah, cause and effect. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's absolutely. Read history books. Absolutely. Read the Bible, or whatever book that you guys use, whatever books you guys use. Listen, our holy books are history books. It's how people reacted to being treated different ways throughout history. Now, if you can't get behind the creator thing, then you'll get to that when you get older. But you can at least use the history part of it, and even the fairy tale parts of it that people can't get over. They'll go and watch the Avengers, but they won't read the Bible because it's fairy tales. You know, but that's a great way to learn how people act and react and deal with lies and betrayal. And I did notice people have completely changed. I'd go back to the 80s right now if I could. Brother, I'd love to go back to the freaking 80s, dude. I'd love to. Man, you know, that whole saying, if I knew then what I know now, man, change the world, boy. Change the world. Yeah, me and frickin' Lamb start a band. And you know, it's interesting. The people that want to control you the most are the people that tell you to stay away from your religious books, because they don't want you to say, oh, you're acting just like the frickin' demons in this book. Yeah, that seems odd, and you seem like a jerk, you know. 50s was the ticket, says Jeremy. I knew you would agree. Man, we brethren in here. Okay, hold on. What does and people are asking this question in 2025. What does canola oil stand for? And dude, I remember talking to so many people, you know, like hearing people and like, Mom, what's canola oil? It's oil from the canola plant. And I'm just like, wow, people really think this stuff. You know, why? But why wouldn't they? Everything else is. But it's crazy how marketing really affects people's brains. And I was looking at this thing today, and it's something that I talk about all the time, about low confidence evidence. Like we don't teach kids what low confidence evidence is in science. We don't teach people that when people talk about things in science, they say things like they're true. They say things like this is what actually happened. But the evidence for those things are very low confidence. It's imagination. But as it gets passed down from the person that came up with the original hypothesis and theory and who they told it to, and the person that wanted to write a school book on that, you know, and it's a big problem. We don't know how to learn these days. The happy days are yours and mine. Happy days. Once in Revelation 2, Dad took out the home. America Yep. Dad, the America began to get downward spiral. Absolutely. An interesting topic was the CERN God particle. We were talking. Were you here for that earlier? I don't think you were. Here, Spartacus. I was talking about that today. The Higgs boson. What up, sweater? Yep. At me. Do you recall last time you agreed to disagree? I do it freaking 400 times a day on stream. Hey, the internet. Yeah. Human body cannot travel back in time. Matter cannot go back in time. Right? It breaks physics. An arrow of time must always break chemistry. Very composition you made out of the world. Right. And this is the interesting thing. When you have scientists, you have chemical researchers, evolutionists that try to use chemistry to prove evolution, and they prove evolution wrong. But they don't publish that because there's too much money to be made. There's too many teachers that have to be retrained. Too many people that would lose their standing in the colleges because their theses and their PhDs 40 years ago is all wrong. Like I could pull up evidence right now about evolution being wrong, and you guys can find it yourself too. Yeah, dude, me too. I'm just disgusted with them, absolutely. And listen, I was talking to Lovely Lamb Lunch about it earlier today. Prince Edward, what's his name? I forgot his name already. Prince somebody. What's his name? Prince frickin' Edward? Prince Andrew. He now his whole life he was a prince. He was on top of the world, banging everybody he wanted to bang, getting whatever he wanted. And now everyone he knows he was diddling underage women, at least underage women. And then now at the end of his career, now he's in his 66th birthday. The rest of them on his 66th birthday or the night before, I can't remember. But he spent his 66th birthday in jail, in prison, and heading to prison. And he could have lived like a king. We could travel forward in time relatively. All right, we're doing it right now. People had some faith in it. Yeah, it's great. The plasma bubble, ion sphere, isolation of matter. Andy and Andrew, Rob Hubbard commercial was my first paranoia. Henry III. I do not believe we came from monkeys. I'm sorry, but we don't. Look, and I can show. Look, watch. Hold on. Let me show you something real quick. Let me show you guys something real quick. Whether you guys want to see it or not, we're gonna watch it for we'll watch it for 5 minutes. I'll just show you one big thing about how science works and how evolution's wrong, and the stuff that came out about evolution and the evolution explainers like Richard Dawkins. He gets stuff wrong. He writes books on incorrect data and then doesn't correct it after he gets proven wrong. But everybody's like, "Oh, Richard Dawkins is a genius." But watch. I'm gonna show you something about it. Watch. You just watch. You just hold on. He got removed 6 months ago. Yeah, you really think top secrets can be public, free, easy? I guess we'll see, right? Let's see. All right, let me see if I can find one.
And that you take an organism and the ability, arm has one long bone in the humerus from it.
Okay.
But
Sorry. I'm just going to go to one point here.
we have penguins here in Minnesota in favor of this tree of life. Elbow, and so become more we
from vestigial organs, then
all right.
Most irrefutable out of
and bring up.
Hold on. Okay, watch this. And this is Richard Dawkins in here, so let me show you.
A short video from Richard Dawkins where he is asked this same question of what's the best evidence we have for evolution?
Out of all the evidence used to support the theory of evolution, what would you say is the strongest, most irrefutable single piece of evidence in support of the theory?
There's an enormous amount of evidence.
No, there's
from all
not.
sorts
So he
of
does.
places,
So he says.
and it's hard to
he says there's an enormous amount of evidence. Doesn't list it.
pick one strand which is more important than any other. There's fossils. There's the evidence from
We know nothing about fossils, about that. That's all theoretical, and a lot of the stuff's been proven wrong. The dating's been proven wrong. We found meat on fossils in 2004 on a T-Rex, so that their aging's wrong. Hold on.
geographical distribution. There's the evidence from vestigial organs. I think, to me, perhaps the most compelling evidence is comparative evidence from modern animals.
So comparative evidence from modern animals. So saying if a dog turned into a human, why are there still dogs? And then why aren't? And then if there's still dogs here, if dogs turned into humans, then humans should have went on to be something else, and they should also be here too, right? But hold on, it's called low confidence.
Comparative evidence, genetic, molecular evidence.
Genetic molecular evidence.
Because of you, millions of people in your heart talk about science. This would be a great way. My faith in first time. Thank you so much.
And what is the best form of evidence he's got? And that would be a comparison of life forms, comparison of the genetic similarity between life forms is the best evidence he's got. The problem is that the statement that we just analyzed rather carefully here, this statement is about comparing life forms, finding similar genes between humans and bacteria. And we just went through that and determined that it meets none of these 6 criteria.
Right. So the 6 criteria for high confidence evidence, okay, repeatable. You can't repeat it. You can't say we turned from a dog to a human. We can't repeat that. Directly observable. We've never seen the dog and turn into a human, so you can't, it's never been directly observable. Prospective study. You can't say, let's get a dog and turn it into a human, so you can't do a study. You can only look back and say, it looks like this might have happened. Careful to avoid bias. He's a definite atheist, so he's not open-minded, so he's got bias. Careful to avoid assumptions. He's definitely using assumptions. He's assuming that we all started from a bug. But nobody was there to say that. So this is evidence, but it's what's called low confidence evidence. It wouldn't, in medicine, I'm going to
for
go
high
back to the beginning. I'm gonna show
confidence.
you
In
something.
fact, it's the lowest of low confidence. And yet, Richard Dawkins says that is the best, the most compelling evidence that I got. It doesn't get any better than that. And that's from his own words. And so I didn't go through all the details about the fossil record and geographic distribution and all that, but it's in the book. But all of those forms of evidence, when you compare...
He was repeating word for word about, or phrase for phrase, what's in the biology textbook for AP high school in America. So he's just repeating what the people that wrote the books on it. And I want to go back and show you something here.
Against these 6 criteria,
Let me go back a little bit more.
reptiles and dogs and bats all have that same arrangement in their appendage. And so because they have the same arrangement, that suggests that we came from a similar common ancestor.
Let me see if I can find something. I want to go back here real quick.
Populations are for robots.
Okay.
It's been because you're going to get in real trouble.
Okay. Let's get back here. Okay.
Really eager
This
to
is how
touch
science
is
works.
to see how fast it falls. Wish that all forms of science.
Okay, here you go.
The lowest level of line.
This is how evidence works, all right? And the problem is we all confuse medical evidence, like you need double-blind studies for good evidence. But then when we talk about fossils, we're complete out the window. But we'll just listen real quick. Let's take a minute.
We don't have to go into the... That's good quality science behind medicine. That led all doctors in all countries to agree upon a categorization of evidence, levels of evidence. And that's shown here. So all doctors will agree on these levels of evidence, that if evidence in favor of a drug
What's
or in
up,
favor of some
Clementine?
procedure is up here in
Never
level A,
Clementine.
then that's considered quite strong evidence that justifies
Yeah,
going
they're
ahead
not.
and
Squids aren't
prescribing
related
that
to
drug or
gorillas.
something like that.
Not Canadian Clementine.
And
no.
so forth down the line. We don't have to go into the details, but it's interesting to note that the lowest level of evidence here
Listen.
is called consensus of expert opinion.
Consensus of expert opinion is the lowest form of evidence. And when it comes to evolution, that's all the evidence is experts saying this. That's it. They don't have any actual firm evidence because they don't have, and he'll go
Based on experience, based on their clinical experience.
He
Expert
talked
opinion
about
is
that
actually
earlier,
considered
real
not
brother.
very strong here. What you really
and why
need is
that
a
didn't
randomized
happen.
controlled trial.
And we're going to go to another point in this where he shows that it didn't happen. It's because we've tried to redo it, and you wait.
In the field of medicine to convince people that this therapy is beneficial. Now, I wish that all forms of science had this kind of levels of evidence that are agreed upon, because I find in some areas of science that evidence is somehow all considered the same.
What up, Professor?
Evidence is evidence, and there's not a clear way to stratify it like you see here.
View on evidence provides a sharp critique of
And
the way
so in the
Dawkins
book I
uses
wrote
it.
here, I proposed 6 criteria to determine the level of evidence, and this is for all science, not just medicine, any field of science. And these 6 criteria, I've never actually had anyone debate them with me. People generally agree that they all seem to agree that,
All right, come on.
and this is spectrum of confidence. But I'm going to go through these 6 criteria and give you a feel for what I'm talking about. Hopefully these are kind of obvious to you. Number 1 on the list of 6 is repeatable, right? If you have an experimental result or any kind of result and you can repeat it again and again, naturally you're building confidence that this is high confident result. And if someone else can repeat the experiment, get the exact same answer, that certainly gives you more confidence. And if somebody in another country can do it, even more.
That's right, because he speaks it like it's the truth with high confidence, but he's just a salesman. He's telling you that this car will last 300,000 miles. He kicks the tires. That it's just a salesman like that, because even the evidence he uses, and this guy gets into this a little bit later, the evidence he uses, and we'll go to that in just a second.
Confidence.
Yeah, I got
so
you.
That one's pretty obvious.
Was mixed with evolved from
Number 2 on the list is that things that are directly measurable give you more confidence.
So nothing is directly measurable when it comes to evolution.
Than things you can only assess very indirectly. Let me give you an example there. When I was a kid and I told my mom I wasn't feeling so good, she would come to measure my temperature, and she tended to do this indirect measurement of measuring my temperature, and she'd say, I think you have a fever or not. Of course, that doesn't give you as much confidence as the direct measurement. I think we can all agree on that one.
Right.
Direct measurements give you more confidence. Another example of this would be if your goal is to study black holes out in outer space. Black holes, of course, you can't actually make direct measurements on them, and you can't like bring it into your laboratory and poke it and prod it and study it that way. And so what we know about black holes is all through indirect kind of results. And that makes it a lower confidence kind of finding.
What up, Czar? Long time,
so that's
girl.
Number 2. Number 3 on the list of 6 is to conduct your studies prospectively. And what that means is that you plan the study in advance, and then you conduct the study, and you find out what it says that way. This is in contrast to looking back in time, looking back at data that you've already collected previously. That's a retrospective study. And the benefit of doing it prospectively is that you can design your experiment to control for things that might confound your results. So let's say I'm doing an experiment where I want to just simply study how fast an object falls. When I drop something, how fast does it fall? I can prospectively design that and prepare the study to block out any kind of confounding factor. Like, for example, the air in the room. The air in the room has an impact on how fast the object falls of low confidence. And yet,
so
Richard
let's go back
Dawkins
to where we
says
just were.
That is, it doesn't, it's in the, they fail. Every one of these criteria.
So all the evidence in the book, in the book about evolution, the biology book that's given to college kids and AP high school kids, all the evidence fails. He talks about here, they say in the book, organisms as dissimilar as humans and bacteria share genes inherited from a very distant common ancestor, right? And they say it like it's true. But let me hold on, sorry, let me go.
Back is the best evidence he's got. The problem is that the statement that we just analyzed rather carefully here.
No, let's go back.
First, we also have a million.
And L1 from the graph, you look for support, and we were getting to for cancer.
Okay, sorry.
It has up here.
I'll get there 1 second. Hold on. I ain't got no internet apparently.
And watch it repeat. Just got conducting confidence or local plane society.
Okay, here you go. Here you go. We got it. Space cow, just like the winged dove, sings a song, sounds like
as dissimilar as humans and bacteria, share genes inherited from a very distant common ancestor.
It is. All right.
So you note that this statement has no like hedging terms. It doesn't say we think or evidence suggests or we believe or it may be This is very directly exuding confidence, a certainty, you would say. But we'll get into it later about what's actually behind this statement. But I don't think the level of confidence that it's conveying is appropriate for the evidence that they have.
You probably point out that
as opposed to this statement made about the nuts.
Mutations.
So we kind of have to ask, why is our society more concerned with claims made about nuts?
So, and we were talking about this yesterday, Professor. So you have people that say religious people use, or creationists use God in the gaps. Well, because God did it. Well, God did it. But then they do the same thing, but they use time in the gaps. Yeah, but 75 billion years, anything's possible. That's just like saying with God, anything's possible. And they don't realize that they're doing the same thing. With enough time, with God, but their thing is, these people are doing science. He's not just saying, oh, God did everything, so everybody go play in the yard. They're like, these guys are freaking PhDs. They're doctors of cellular biology. Yeah.
Then about claims made about evolution.
Organic chemist.
Textbooks can go forth and kind of ignore this make reasonable claims criteria when they write their textbook and teach our
children read that and they say, oh, organisms like humans and the genes from the common distant ancestor had the same genes. The bacteria had the same genes, but they don't know. They got no clue. They didn't have that bacteria to do DNA tests on it. So it's absolutely crazy. All right, but let's get to this point here.
Children, I find that concerning.
Here you go. High confidence. Okay,
of
this
low
is all
confidence.
low confidence.
And yet, Richard Dawkins says that is the most compelling evidence that I got. It doesn't get any better than that. And that's from record evidence when you can.
Okay, let's get the high confidence evidence.
Given consideration.
High confidence evidence for evolution coming up. Okay.
Of that there is high confidence evidence that deals with evolution.
No, they tried the experiment.
And this is one example.
That's about to come up here, Spencer. It's about to come up. That's about to come up. I take God's word as gospel. Good. Doesn't heighten self-awareness and self-reflect evolutionists? No, because you don't know. There aren't any pre-human fossils, so there's no other evidence. There's no evidence that there was before our heightened awareness. If we were put here to be aware, then that's how it started. So you would have to say, well, we had people that weren't aware, but how, without historic data, without people being like, I'm not aware, that wrote it down 100,000 years ago. We don't know that. So you're putting in, you're making up low confidence evidence to say, or a theory saying that there used to be people that weren't aware, but you don't know that. No one does.
Richard Lenski, a professor at Michigan there, he spent his whole career studying E. coli, the bacteria, growing them in his laboratory. And he's actually gone through 80,000 generations now. He just surpassed that, studying how they change over time with 80,000 generations. He does about 6 or 7 generations per day. Fortunately, E. coli, replicate faster than humans, quite a bit. Now, quite interestingly, after 33,000 generations, so this is about 10 trillion organisms he had produced in his lab, the E. coli there developed the ability to eat something, to get energy out of a food source that they hadn't used before, a molecule called citrate.
Evolution,
and that was
right?
In the media that he bathed
Boyle
the bacteria in each day. And so these E. coli that developed this ability, they suddenly replicated much more readily and took over the population. And this was considered to be a big evolutionary feat. In fact, in The Greatest Show on Earth, a book by Richard Dawkins, he spent like a whole chapter talking about how great this experiment was. And he called this finding a beautiful demonstration of evolution in action, with new information entering genomes and combinations of new genes. So there was a lot of media hype about this. Unfortunately, Richard Dawkins made this statement and wrote this book, published it, before the actual genetic information came out about what had changed after 33,000 generations. So Richard Lenski's lab, he had these 2 papers come out, And these two papers showed exactly what genetic changes had happened. And it turned out that the ability to metabolize citrate involved duplicating one existing gene, simply took a gene and made another
So it
copy
was
of it, put
already
it down
there.
somewhere else in the DNA. And then another gene, the bacteria lost control of it.
So it's moving
It
closer
lost
to
its
death
ability to
during
regulate
evolution.
that gene. So that's actually a loss of information. And those two mutations led to this evolution, if you will. And so I think Richard Dawkins was quite misled in his conclusion.
So the evolution moves towards destruction, not creation. So we've got the genetic data of the brand new organisms, and then they breeded them 33,000 generations. That would be like 60 million or 6 million years for us. Yeah, 6 million years for 6 million. Yeah, 6 million years for us. And then it says, hey, they can start eating something different. So then they did the genetic test and they said, oh, well, they always could. It was in their genetic code. It just didn't get turned on. And when it got copied to a different part of this genetic code that already existed, it disabled them. The genes got worse. They didn't get better. They didn't say, now I can eat this and this. Just watch.
Which came
So
up.
all of the high confidence, repeatable data for that we have for evolution says we evolved to death. Like right now, we're evolving towards death. We're not evolving towards a new species. Your body, my body, we're evolving towards death. Evolution evolves us into the ground. It doesn't evolve us into great. But no. Watch. Just watch. And there's a lot of it.
Before the real data came out.
Science like Dalton Tree.
But this study shows us
right. They're called what do they call them? Scientism. It's called scientism, or yes, and that's what they call it. That's the religion of science, the religion of the atheist religion of scientism.
Gives us quite a feeling for what evolution can accomplish.
You got to
what
get
it's
off them
capable of accomplishing in
SSRIs.
quite a large number of generations. And I need to highlight that all of that was high confidence kind of work. It's repeatable, it's directly measurable because you can sequence the DNA in the genes. He actually froze samples of the bacteria and you can bring them back to life and repeat the experiment. And it's prospectively studied, all those things.
So wait a minute, let me when he froze them, it wasn't like he brought them back to life.
Right, so he misspoke and said brought them back to life. And a real scientist said they don't let you accidentally misspeak. And the problem is when you have people talking, hyping up how fast this new car will go and how it'll last 75 years, that you never hear somebody say, that doesn't work. Even though there's plenty of evidence against what they're saying, but that doesn't sell.
They were never dead.
That's right.
That's right.
Right. So
right. I'll go back.
it just goes into a dormant state.
The only person I
Yes.
Correct. I just want to be sure.
Yeah, I think exactly right.
Ever brought something back to life. Okay.
Yeah, so like this happened, he would save off and freeze like every 500 generations. He would freeze a sample of these bacteria. And so when this happened, he actually went back to frozen previous generations and was able to get them, to go through this kind of transition as well. So he could repeat the experiment, is what I'm saying.
There's reason behind why I said that. You have these people that they have so much faith that there's no God, that science is God. So instead of deism, like a creator has made us all, they're saying science made us all. They're looking to science. They think science, even though they can't even get as close to, they don't have any true data for anything, and they don't even have historical data. At least like other religions have historical data saying that there's evidence for that religion, right? Anyway, you can look at it.
By having frozen it in time.
And once you have bacteria that have this genetic change, bacteria are amazing because they share DNA with each other. And that's how you can get the ones that were frozen. It doesn't take them as long to acquire this. They got it very quickly from their neighbors. Is that correct?
Yeah, they share genes Yeah, it's kind of like sharing information with your friend on how to do your taxes or whatever it is.
See, we have to have sex to share genes. We have to have sex to share genes. So we don't even pre-penis and vagina. We didn't have a way to but there was no pre that, and that's the point. Anyway,
That's what you
don't know me. Tell me, Christopher. You see my future and tell me what's ahead of me.
And just add a little more.
Be nice to people. Learn as much as you can. Realize that the TV is a lie box, and seek the future and find goodness in people. You'll be fine, my friend. You'll fart soon. Mind your beeswax.
Color to this. It turns out that E. coli have always had the ability to metabolize citrate. But
so it's always had them. So the scientific evidence said the E. coli has evolved to be able to metabolize citrate. Oh, well, come to find out, well, it always had that ability. So you have a scientist that wants to get famous for his experiment that says, oh, it can't do this, and now it can. Come to find out, it always could, but it needed oxygen, and we were able to do this, but all it did was it turned off part of the existing code. The DNA did not evolve. It shut part of it off. And this is the problem with explaining science to people that didn't even pass math. And like me, I didn't pass math. And that's why I have to find everything out for myself.
They only metabolize it when there's no oxygen around.
What up, Jeffrey Epstein?
So if he simply put these bacteria in an environment without oxygen, they would have started eating the citrate. But these bacteria here, these E. coli in his lab, developed the ability to metabolize citrate in the presence of oxygen, which, as I say down here, is actually a result of losing control over a gene.
Right. So after 33,000 generations, it started to get weaker. It started to get weaker, just like we do. We evolve into strong, big versions of ourselves that can reproduce and everything, but then we evolve to death. And everything that we've actually done experiments on all do the same. And then we just had people say, no, you know what probably happened? A freaking mosquito farted in the water, and then all of a sudden a snake turned into a freaking catfish. And it's all just make-believe.
Was there to trigger when oxygen
thank you, John. I got
was
a
not available.
Brush.
So that's kind of interesting.
And your name's
another
Veritas.
experiment.
Yes.
This is, again, high confidence evidence
Veritas.
for evolution.
Veritas,
to
please.
get a feel for
You
what
should know
evolution
that.
can
With a name like
accomplish.
Veritas, you should know that.
I love this experiment. You can see it's written up down
Gods
here.
are make-believe.
But
Brother,
they
you got the
actually
wrong
purposely
name, brother.
studied what evolution is capable of.
Keep
They took E.
Veritasing and you'll
coli,
get
again,
there,
our
I
favorite little
promise.
bacteria. E. coli are able to produce their own amino acid tryptophan, shown here, because they have the machinery to make their own tryptophan. They have this enzyme,
knowledge
tryptophan
in many parts of
synthase,
science,
and humans can't do this. So it's kind of a cool trick that E. coli can do that. Anyway, they took in the genes to produce this enzyme. They went in and
We have a lot. There's a lot of evidence. For instance, the fine-tuning argument is one of the biggest, there's more evidence for a God or a creator than there is against. Way more. You just haven't looked for it. It's definitely out there. We're looking at some right now.
intentionally damaged the DNA there.
What up, Zach, brother?
To see if evolution could come in and repair the
and
damage.
we have historic
to get the
evidence.
bacteria
That's
back to
more.
having this
The
function.
historic evidence alone is more evidence than you have that a God doesn't exist. And true science requires an open mind. When you shut your mind off, like you're like, well, it obviously ain't there because evolution. Well, come to find out, they were completely wrong about evolution.
It's kind of a cool idea. So in their first experiment, they changed just one nucleotide.
And here's another
one letter
good
of the DNA,
Veritas. Here you go. Here's
and that was
another
a part
one.
of one of the two genes here. And they found that the enzyme.
Brother, you haven't looked into it. Not just the Bible, not just the Quran, not just the other, but the other non-biblical writings at the time wrote of the same thing. You just haven't looked into it because you convinced yourself, brother.
Some function to make tryptophan, but it was not nearly as high performing as it used to be. And then they put that mutated bacteria
you don't know. I'll help you
into
learn.
a solution
Veritas.
that had a limited amount of tryptophan because they want to create some selective pressure here. That it would sure be nice if you could make your own tryptophan and then you could take over the world, right?
All right, this is
so they
interesting too, right here.
Did that experiment, and they kept growing more and more bacteria to
Veritas,
see
change your name,
if they
brother.
could
Historic, we
redevelop
have
the ability.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You do not. You have mountains of low confidence evidence. That's what this whole thing's about. We have people that wrote about it biblically, and even the Romans that didn't believe in God wrote about it and said, "Wow, this is odd." Sounds like it's a team. I'm unconvinced because lack of evidence. No, listen. Then why aren't you asking for more evidence? You're not continuing the study. Don't you understand? You should be looking for the evidence. And I'm telling you some exists, and you're saying no, it don't, because no, it don't. You're telling me there's no evidence because no, there's no evidence. No, you haven't looked for it. People told you there's no evidence, and you're repeating that. Brother, listen, I'll help you. Love Zara, you love uniform, you carry cuss because of a baddie and a furry. Tell me, spirit man, could you be wrong about God existing? So listen, I was an atheist for 46 years, and I've been a Christian for 3. My atheism led me to it, and you'll get there too. What happens if you change yourself physically, globally, from IRL to big quantum levels? Do you become a different being, God, different being? Veritas, some people are connected with God, some people aren't. I am only because I have proof that I definitely my own reality. Right, the fact that we're here, right? Because you wouldn't have, brother, because you wouldn't have said that. You wouldn't have said that. 100% you wouldn't have said there's zero evidence, because there's a lot of evidence. Because you would not have said there's zero evidence. You would have said there's some, but it's not compelling. You would have said something along those lines. You would have said the evidence that I've heard is low confidence or high confidence. You didn't say any of that. You said none, so you haven't looked. Creator exists, but not typically the epistemology given by scriptures. I expect unholy bots have been raised. And what was the overwhelming evidence that changed your mind? The big thing that started to change my mind was the fine-tuning arguments and the flagellum motor. The flagellum motor. The flagellum motor. Yellow motor. Flagello motor. Jello. This guy right here.
This is not a mechanical structure, but a super engine crafted by nature.
You'll have to look into it if you've never saw it before. You can actually see the entire, not the 3D models, but you can see the actual 300,000 time electron microscopy videos of it.
It can achieve speeds ranging from 22,000 to 100,000
No, not
RPM.
anymore, brother. The evidence is overwhelming. It's overwhelming. Person, I said, I can't convince somebody who doesn't have evidence. The opposite journey to Richard. So there's no convincing evidence. Okay, all right. But to you or to anybody? So you haven't been convinced yet, right? This is my problem. You haven't been convinced yet. So if there's more evidence every day, are you still going to keep looking? If I can tell you last week more evidence came out, are you still going to say no? Brother, a fine-tuning argument is a very bad argument. It shows you you're not a good atheist. One value left. Okay. Look deeper, different places you will find. Hey, thank you, brother Fish Sticks.
Energy conversion efficiency
What up, my
far
brother?
surpassing any engine ever built by humans. The bacterial flagellar motor is a nanoscale machine found in flagellated bacteria, composed of proteins with components functioning similarly to gears, rotors, stators, drive shafts, couplings, and clutches.
I already said no. Either way, we have free will to believe.
The motor is powered by the movement of ions across the cell membrane, driven by an electrochemical gradient. With slight modifications to certain proteins, the motor can reverse direction almost instantly or disengage from the propulsion system to allow the bacterium to remain stationary. This motor acts like a propeller.
All right, well, I'll let you look into that. We're going to continue along what we were doing.
fix this gene.
Brother, you're the
And
one
what
that
they
said
found
no.
was,
You're the one that said no. I had
after
to
about
close
100
mine
million
my whole
E. coli
life, and
were
then it
grown in
opened.
the lab,
You don't need no
the
credit.
mutation was in
right.
fact repaired.
All right, here, this is the interesting part.
Apparently, a random error in copying the DNA turned out to be beneficial, right? It fixed the gene, and the E. coli with a fixed gene had a big benefit, and they took over the population because they could make their own tryptophan. That's pretty cool. So evolution did the job. So they said, let's do it again, and they changed a different single letter or nucleotide of the DNA code for the same gene, but it was in a different location. And this time, the enzyme had no function, right? It was completely not functional. And they grew this mutated version in a solution with limited amount of tryptophan. And they found over time that, again, pretty much same answer. The E. coli were able to fix that one point mutation.
That's what I'm doing. That's what join the channel, subscribe. I'd be glad to show you. I'm in the middle of it here. You're the one that jumped in and said Jesus and science, blah, 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 blah. And you're welcome to stay as long as you'd like. Hang out. If you want it in 3 seconds, I'm sorry, but just hang out. You'll get it.
And they were able to make their own tryptophan and took over the population. So that's two successes. Evolution was able to do that. And
brother,
again,
you're not going to, hold on. Fine-tuning arguments for a creator. Let's see, where was this base at? Here's just one.
Stop what you're doing and check out this mind-blowing presentation by scientist Hugh Ross on the fine-tuning argument for God.
For example, to have life possible in the universe has to have a certain cosmic mass density. It has to have a certain space energy density. And we can measure how fine-tuned it must be in order for there to be any possibility of life anywhere in the universe. And it's at a level of 1 part in 10 to the 122nd power. And that far exceeds the best example of human engineering fine-tuned design by about a factor of 10 to the 97 times, which means the one that was responsible for that fine-tuning design must be more intelligent, more knowledgeable, more creative and powerful than we human beings.
Astrophysicist Hugh Ross shows how incredibly...
And what about quantum physics?
Quantum physics is part of the evidence for fine-tuning that points to a God.
Yeah.
Because the uncertainties are absolutely essential. If you don't have quantum uncertainties, you're not going to have stable atoms and molecules. And we need that for life. And when you actually examine how much uncertainty you need, make the uncertainty slightly bigger or slightly lesser, you eliminate the possibility of life.
Right.
And that's also true statistical.
Who made the puddle and who made the whole Veritas? Hey, brother, I did. That's what I did for 40 years. 40 years. I'm telling you, I was you.
We see in statistical mechanics likewise must be extraordinarily fine-tuned to make life possible. I mean, for example, inside the cell, there's machines that take advantage of the uncertainties in statistical mechanics. And to change that uncertainty slightly, those proteins don't work.
Right.
And no life is possible.
How? What do you mean? So what theory do you subscribe to? What theory do you subscribe to? All right, we'll get back to this here. No, you were not me because you would have seen thrown out of a critical logic thinking. All right, brother. All right, we have an expiration date around 100 years. There wasn't life after death. We would live forever when God is planet. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's regurgitating
just
old
to step back for a second, this meets all of those 6 criteria to give you high confidence. They could do it repeatedly. It was done prospectively, direct observations of the DNA and the results came out of it. It was beautifully done. So then they said, okay, let's see how far this can go. So they did a third experiment where they made both of the mutations. So there were 2 hits to the DNA, 2-point mutations, and the enzyme had no function. And their thought was that if the bacteria could fix the one problem and get a semi-functional enzyme, then over time it could fix the second problem and get back totally to normal. That was the hope. But after 9,300 generations of E. coli were grown, and that's like 1 trillion organisms they had to go through there.
I got you, brother.
They actually found out that the function of the tryptophan synthase was never restored. And it turns out that the genes, when they looked at the DNA, the genes were either completely deleted or their function was suppressed. You know, the regulatory aspect, it just turned off expression of those genes. And that's because it actually takes tryptophan to make this enzyme. And so if there's a limited amount of tryptophan, maybe you're better off just not trying to waste it, or make it. And that's the direction that this E. coli took. So just to try to summarize this very easily for everybody, you have a mutated bacteria. It had these 2 mutations, so it could not produce tryptophan. And it really could have gone in 2 different ways. The bacteria could have taken the easy route, just stop producing that enzyme or jettison the genes for that enzyme and just take life easy, or it could have evolved by
Veritas,
fixing
I'm here for you, brother,
those
all right?
genes and having all the tryptophan it ever wanted. But it actually took this route, and this was in 12 repeated experiments. It went this way. So that kind of leads to a big question, that if evolution failed to repair this enzyme, the strip of DNA with 2 genes, and it was already 99.9% totally accurate.
Okay, so you have an enzyme that's 99.9% complete, and it can't evolve towards even completing itself. It breaks. So even if it was 99.9% of the way to where we know of them now, it can't fix itself. It goes towards death, non-life.
Accurate. In other words, there's about 2,000 nucleotides in the code to make
I'm here for you. Be a friend, brother. Just keep on Veritas,
and they only
and you'll
had
get there, I
2
promise.
mistakes. So it's 99.9% just perfect. And evolution couldn't fix it. It actually went the other way and gave up. So how could evolution ever have come up with that gene, those genes, out of nothing if it couldn't have evolved it from 99.9% finished product? I think that's very telling. It's telling us with high confidence what evolution is capable of and what it's not capable of.
Here's another good one right here.
And then I'll just throw in a few more little tidbits of high confidence evidence for evolution. You know, we as a society have been studying mice for like 95 years and doing every kind of mutation imaginable. This poor little guy on the right, actually you could see has 6 limbs. They made some mutation in the mouse that caused the gonads to become extra limbs. So they have 6 limbs, very interesting. But the point is, after 95 years of doing that, there's 2 outcomes. You either end up with a mouse or a dead mouse, meaning that mice want to stay as mice. You know, there's nothing dramatically changing going on here. And the same has occurred for endless studies of fruit flies and zebrafish and domestic animals like your cows and your dogs and so forth. They stay within their kind. We've seen that.
This is pretty cool.
And then I bring this up because it's a very recent study. It's just last year, but these people have been studying for 10 years. They studied the genome of this little microcrustacean. And basically they summarize, these are their own words, but after 10 years of watching evolution work on it, they saw an average effect close to 0, meaning that nothing really changed. So this
Right, but Veritas, if it helps people learn and it makes people's lives better, why would you not? Do you think it's an overall positive or an overall negative? If everything starts to get better in your life when you appeal to a higher power, why would you think, oh, because you're being fooled? Is that what you think? I'm just saying. I'm just a YouTuber. You don't believe in causation?
Compilation of evidence. This is all high confidence evidence meeting those criteria that I mentioned. And what it's telling us, I think what it's very clearly teaching us, is that evolution is quite limited, quite constrained, and quite weak in what it can accomplish. Now, at this point, I almost always get a question that I thought I'd address up front, and that is about the COVID virus. Because we've all just gone through this epidemic, And in the last 5 years, we've seen quite a lot of changes happening.
Your mind is closed.
COVID. A lot of people talk about evolution, rapid evolution of the COVID virus. So what about that? I mean, this is high confidence stuff, right? Because we've observed it and it's prospective and it's repeatable. So it is indeed a fact that about 100 mutations have accumulated in the last 5 years. If you take COVID virus today and you compare it to the original start of the pandemic, it's about 100 mutations in there. So that's a lot going on. But there's some reasons why I feel like it's going against the criteria number 6, where you make the right kind of conclusions, you draw the right kind of conclusions. Because using this data to conclude that living organisms should be able to evolve rapidly, I think that's a bit of an abuse of the evidence.
Brother, you just said something that's not true. You don't know. You don't know that it's not true. You don't know that. It's a question that needs answering. You don't know the answer, and you're trying to tell people that you know the answer, and the answer is that it's not true. Then keep looking for it. Why are you so negative? Why don't you come in saying, hey, I don't believe in God yet, but I haven't seen enough good evidence. You got any? Rather than go believe in your God. Dude, you're being rude. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Then why don't you sit back?
The reason why I say that is viruses like COVID are really well known for frequent recombination, meaning if a cell is attacked by 2 different viruses, they go in there and they just sort of share notes with each other, the 2 viruses. They can share DNA and swap parts, kind of mix and match their
this
RNA
is
or DNA
really cool too.
in order to make a new virus very quickly.
Viruses don't match the definition for life, but what they do to adapt life, like and parasitize.
That's part of the thing. Another part of it is that the COVID genome is all RNA based, and it's about 30,000 nucleotides of RNA, which is quite.
I'm saying I've already done the search. I've already gotten enough. I've already gotten enough data to convince me. Is what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you.
Small, really.
And I told you the evidences that led me down the path. I'm not going to spend 100 hours with you today to take you down the path that I went down to find it. I'm telling you the evidence is out there, and if you want to find it, brother, I hope you find it. If you don't find it, I hope you get the arguments to make for people on the internet, brother.
This is about 5% of the size.
I was wrong my whole life, is what I'm telling you. I was wrong my whole life. I've got, and I'm telling you that you have a name like Veritas for a reason. You should be searching for the truth. If you're going into a science biased, you're not going to find any truth. You've already stopped looking. I hope you change that outlook.
Of the genome of the most simple bacteria. So it's really, really small. And because it's RNA, it is replicated through an RNA polymerase. So that's a protein enzyme that has to be manufactured by the cell that it's attacking. And this process of copying RNA to make copies of itself, to replicate, it's quite error prone. It produces about 1 error for 10,000 nucleotides that it replicates.
Brother, I know that. I just told you I didn't start with it. I started with the same conclusion you're at now, and I'm telling you I've passed that point. I was the one that used to be a negative guy like you on the internet, trying to turn people away from something that could help them because I wanted to be right. I found out I was wrong. That's all I'm not saying.
That sounds pretty good, actually. 1 out of 10,000, but it's in life that's really bad, because any known living organism, and I'm very clearly saying that viruses are not living organisms.
I know that's really, 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 really important. So the way RNA replicates itself is an error once in every 10,000 nucleotides. That's the GATC, the letters that make up the DNA. in living organisms, we have 100 million of them. That error would not sustain. We've already learned that 2 errors turn off the entire gene area of the genes that allow for the replication and folding of proteins that we need for life. So if you get 1 error per 10,000 and there's 100 million nucleotides in DNA, you would have far too much. You would be born not alive.
Organisms, because they don't have a metabolism, and they don't have homeostasis, and they don't have to harness energy, and they don't have to repair their.
But that stuff's great. I love the stuff. What? I got one more minute, and we'll come back at 9:30. But if anybody's got any questions or whatnot, you got the Discord there. Veritas, you're absolutely welcome to join if you'd like. I appreciate everybody coming out. I love you all. And I'll see you guys back here in about a half hour. All right. So bye.